Hey everyone, Marsh from Consequence here. I wanted to go over Bloodtwister. Now, this is the first video where I'm not really going to talk about Mythic at all. I'm going to mention the mechanic and how to probably handle it, but we're not going to go over a video or anything like that. So, the first thing I want to talk about is just the boss mechanics. There's not many. This looks longer than it actually is. So the boss does a few things. When the boss is close to a section of the room, it's going to do a cast on it and activate this pool, and then that pool will break eggs. But you don't want the pool to break eggs, so you can use little circles to break out the ads early and deal with them. Each section of the room has its own area where it has more of those ads. So there's more worms here. So you can see worm, 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 worm. It's got more spiders here and more parasites here. And he also does a dispel mechanic that you can freedom out. But you get a circle around you, you want one around you, and then dispel. We'll see that in the video. He does the breakout eggs, which we talked about. He does like a spew mechanic that you just have to sidestep, but the dispel targets are slowed, so they need to be extra careful and maybe take a personal. And I think that's really about it. There's the boss doesn't do too much. It's all about the ads. So with the ads, you have Spider Ad, which just is like a tank buster. You have a Worm Ad, which just chain casts on players, doing a ton of damage. You have the Parasite ads, which are small ads that fixate players. If they fixate and get to you, they're going to spawn two more, so it could become a chain reaction really, really fast. It's really bad. So that's basically how that works. And I want to hop into the VOD, and then I want to go to the raid plan. So with the VOD here, we tried out all these sections, so this may not be the... Actually, I think this is the optimal pathing that we decide on. But what you're going to see here is we're pre-marking all the ads that we want broken. This is the dispel mechanics. You can see they're slowed, they're running out, they're freedoming, etc. And the boss is going to go up to the closest section that's active and cast into it and just do damage. So, there's a healing absorb and he's just doing a lot of damage. We have these marked 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get these circles. On live, this was privated when we did this on Heroic, but now it's unprivated. So there's going to be probably just be a weak aura where you just get told which ad to go to with a marker. But for us, we're just marking it, and then we're just being good at the game, as in like going to one and then calling if someone else is there and making adjustments. Another thing to note is each of these eggs hold a different ad, and we talked about that a little at the beginning. But the big one's going to be a spider, which is the tank buster. The middle-sized one here is going to be a worm, and then this one's going to be parasites. So you see when these circles pop, worm, parasite, parasite, and there's a spider over there. And you can see with these parasites, we mass grip them, we stun them, we deal with them, because they chain fixate. And if they get to the target, it's really bad. So you need to keep them under control. We're getting kicks on the worms. And then he's going over and marking the new set that we want to break. Again, this might just be a weak aura, but we're playing around the marker. Another thing to note is that we are playing the boss on top of the worms always, because the worms are just annoying to kick. So when you have it on top of the boss, there's a lot more possible kickers. If there's a worm away from you, just make sure your ranger are watching it and target it down. You don't want to just let a worm chain cast. It's just better to get out of the fight. So you can see you're going to break, and they're going to, whenever the boss is good to go, they're CCing the parasites. Once they're under control, they're going to move the boss over to the worm. So the parasite's under control, and they're going to bring it over and get kicks here. So that's kind of the flow of the fight. Now, we'll go over the raid plan and positioning and stuff. Dispels again. But they're going to move the boss over here. So we did a box, and then a line here, and that's what we just call it. But you can see there's going to be a line of ads. spider, parasite, worm, parasite. So you're going to want to take it here because you're near both parasites, and uh, the worm and the tank's going to peel off and they're going to taunt this spider. So you're going to see here. So we don't have a weak aura, so everyone's kind of scrambling, but they're all adjusting. That was really good, actually. Dispels, stun, bind, stun, tanked on the spider. Tank has this bringing the spider over, and then we're good to go. Everything's going to die here really quickly. And what we're going to do is we're going to move the boss into the new phase, or the new section. The spider's just getting cleaved. It does like very little in heroic. And we're going to move it here, and he's already starting to mark the next set. But the boss is going to channel in here, and it's going to activate this section. I think this is the worm section. Worm, 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 worm. Yeah. So, just as a note, this is a kill pull, but we did take this boss to enrage. I don't have that VOD, but the pulls coming out from here are going to take up the whole room except for like one section in the middle of the room and two sections on the sides. So if you're doing this on enrage, you're just going to be standing in the middle of the room, and that pull's slowly going to just go over you. You have a little bit of time to deal with it once you have all the sections down. So I want to talk about the raid plan. And the raid plan, and we can make this public, that's fine. This is really, really important. So the first one here, this is if you want to change the view to make it look different, but we're just going to work through 2 through 12 here. So these are the spawns of all the ads. So then this is an alt 1, which is not here because this is in read-only mode. But what you're going to see here is the parasite section. You're going to see more parasites. Parasite, 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 parasite. So there's more parasites in that section. In the spider section, look at all the spiders. In the worm section, look at all the worms. All right, so this is what it shows. Now, the optimal way to do this on heroic is if the boss is going to go to enrage, you want to do the parasites first because the parasites are the hardest. You're going to have lust. You're going to have everyone alive. Everyone's going to be the most focused at the beginning of the pool. And the parasites are just brutal. Like, if they get to you and they infest you, they just start multiplying. And that it can just be a catastrophic chain of events. The way we deal with the parasites exactly is as you saw in the video with CCs. But if you are the guy dropping the circle on the egg, you need to either insta-stun or just run away. Because if those parasites fixate on you, you can spread them everywhere. Another thing to note is if you do get infested, be under the boss. Because they will come out of you and they'll be under the boss, so they're going to be much more easy to deal with if they're in the middle of the room. So it's just easier to play like towards the boss in that aspect. But at the end of the day, CCs work, you control them, you have lust, you have CDs, people are focused, and you would do the parasites first. Then you do the worm second. The worm is not too bad. Again, you just tank the boss on the worms, and you get the kicks. The worms are slightly dangerous. If you miss kicks, they will kill people. But it's really just like playing Mythic Plus in a way in terms of like kicking ads. There's still parasites in this section, but a lot less. The spider section is the easiest. There's going to be worms and parasites as well. But if your tanks are somewhat decent, they will never die the spiders. And if they're struggling, you just target the spiders and then go back on the boss. So that's like the optimal, like we're going to hit and rage strat. If it's tuned in a way where you only do like 1 to 2 sections, you don't break a bunch of parasites, then you would basically just do worm then spider, or spider then worm, or something like that. So you would just ignore parasites entirely. But again, for this raid plan, we're going to be under the assumption that we're hitting in rage. So as you can see here, the first break, you mark, someone needs to manually mark these, and there's probably going to be weak where that tells you. If not, people seem to get good. And you're going to break these 4. Again, if you miss any of these and the pull hits them, they come out in rage. It's really bad. You can probably heal through like 1, but you cannot heal through multiple times of messing it up. So you need to be very precise. As you can see here, tank tries to tank near parasites and finish near the worm. So that's what we're doing. We're tanking and then moving. Then we break these 4. You can see here the puddle grows. Break 2, 1 worm, 2 parasites, 1 spider. Break 3, this is the line. You have the boss here. Tanked between the 2 parasites, and we saw that in the video. Break 4, 2 worms, 1 parasite, 1 spider. You can see here the boss is tanked between the 2 worms. So we need to get kicks, and then we need to get CCs here. Break 5, 2 worms. Again, in the middle of 2 worms, parasites getting CCs, and then a spider. And you can still use the kill order. Parasites star green. So yeah. Dealing with getting the parasites out of the way is really important. So you have your AoEers just peel off and destroy them. Break 6. 2 worms, 1 parasite, 1 spider. Again, parasite, and then the 2 worms. And they'd move the boss, so they'd start here and then move here. Now, one thing I want to talk about is, okay, we're ending the line here. We're moving here next. If the strat was to go like parasites then spider, you'd change your break order that the line would be here so you can easily move into the section. So here we're making the path of least resistance into the next section we're moving to. But again, we have the line here for break 6. Parasite star and then green, but any warm order is fine. You can do whatever. It's just there's a chance that the star is going to die first because the parasites are here. So range will probably need to watch kicks. And then break 7, keep the box. And this is a worm and a parasites. So again, AoEers and parasites, kickers on worms, and then just cleave everything. Same thing, 2 spiders, same thing. And then in rage, this is not representative of what actually it looks like. Well, it is, but these will expand even further and further and further out, and you'll basically have this space, this space, this space, and like this space open, and then everything will just collapse on itself, and that's basically what Enrage is. So, big takeaways here. You need someone confident in marking every single time, and you need to have your raiders prepare to not have a weak aura day 1. It takes some repetition. It takes a lot of communication. There's probably going to be a weak aura day 2 for sure, but if you're planning on doing it, just keep that in mind. You also need to understand, like, if something's missed, you're going to take a lot of damage once the pull hits. It is probably healable, but you need to prepare for it. CCs on the parasites, run away from the parasites if you're the breaker on them, kick the worms, and your tanks need to really grind this pathing. This is like not a fight where the tanks can just go in and just like take a nap. They need to like know where the tank to maximize damage and also safety. Like if they're not tanking near the worm's just gonna kill people. It's just true. So being very making sure that you're on top of that stuff. Just quickly about the mythic mechanic, 30 seconds. The ads will be in rage or empowered in every single section. They get additional mechanics, but you can read those in Dungeon Journal. The other thing is that it takes 2 circles to break 1 egg out. So you saw in the video we had 1 circle break an egg out, but then you're gonna have 2 circles break an egg out. So even more coordination is needed from going from 4 to 8 people. But if you want to read the mythic mechanics, you go in the Dungeon Journal. They basically just pen power the ads, and make them harder to deal with, which would probably change the order of what you want to do. When we did mythic testing, the worms were absolutely horrible. They would cast every like 0.5 seconds. But we did heroic testing. We thought the worms were not too bad, and the parasites were the hard part. Um, so there's could be differences. But again, we're not going to talk about that too much. This is for heroic. Again, just make sure everyone knows what they're doing. Organize, give people tasks, keep it simple. Make sure your tanks know what's up. Make sure your marker knows what's up. That's everything for this boss. Best of luck. Last 3 boss guides are coming out in the next day or two, so they're coming. I'm out. Good luck. Peace.